Welcome back, lovely people, lovely family. I am so glad to be here, as you guys can see. So stay tuned, grab whatever you want to take, whatever you're going to use to enjoy this gist, because guys, people, I have this lovely gist for you. I'm so glad to be alive, guys. I am so glad. If anybody has been following my gist, my baby content gist of recent on this channel, which I will encourage you to watch from like almost beginning till now, I would love you to follow it back to this point. Of course, by this time you must know, or you must have seen, that I have dropped baby number 3. I had a successful C-section, thank God. And guys, I am someone that is usually very paranoid. I don't like to take things for granted at all. C-section is a surgery and I treated it as such. I was nervous going in for my second C-section. This is my 3rd child, but this is my 2nd C-section, and well, I had to have it because of the previous one I had done, which I was advised to go for another one. So guys, don't let me bore you on why you need to have a C-section or not and all that. Let me just gist you on why I had to go to the emergency just 6 days after I had my cesarean section. So I had been discharged from the hospital. There were checks here and there on me and my baby. We had reasons to stay in the hospital for about 5 days. I went into the hospital on a Tuesday. I had my C-section on a Wednesday, and I was discharged the Monday after. We actually discharged on a Saturday, but I wanted to get my baby's immunization the Monday after, and they were like, come back on Monday. They told us to still wait till Sunday again, and they're like, okay, just come back on Monday. And I was like, what's the difference? So my husband just said, can she just stay back? So we stayed back in the hospital till Monday. After she got her immunization, we got discharged and we came home. So everything was fine. Honestly, throughout my C-section, I felt I was good. This one seemed better. This one was a lot better than the previous experience I had. My previous C-section was very traumatic for me in so many ways. I'll share the story on this channel very soon. So we went home. I was even doing a lot of things at home. I felt I was strong. I didn't even need my pain medications anymore. I was still on the antibiotics and the pain medications, by the way, and I was taking my medications religiously, to be very honest. I didn't have complications. I was not feeling I was working very well. Even my mom was telling me slow down, because we packed a lot of things to the hospital. I was even helping to pack some of those things we took to the hospital back into the house, and everybody was telling me slow down, just take it easy. And I was like, oh, I'm strong, I feel strong, I feel energetic, I can go ahead. I had 2 kids already. I have 2 boys, by the way, so kids involved and all that. I just felt I couldn't just stay back and relax and just put my feet up and all that. I was involved in everything we're doing in the house. So the next morning came on Tuesday. Bear in mind that by the next Wednesday, this will be 1 week after I have had my baby. So on Tuesday morning, my mom woke up early. She was kind of she woke up early. We were still struggling to adjust to the schedule of the house and all that. So the baby was with her. She had given my baby a bath. I'm very lazy when it comes to that, because I just leave everything to my mom, and she gives the baby a bath, she dresses up the baby and all that, and I just sleep. I go join her later. So we kind of do a routine kind of thing. I take care of the baby, she goes to sleep. She takes care of the baby, I go to sleep. So she called me to come and breastfeed the baby early in the morning after she gave the baby a bath, because typically babies cry after having their bath. You just soothe them and all that. She called me, and I was making my way to the living room. She was still carrying my baby. I got down to the living room. I sat down as I'm sitting now, and guys, that was it. That was not the moment to vlog or anything, because it was really a scary moment. The best thing I can do is paint the scenario of how everything went as much as I can remember. I sat down, and that was the last thing I knew I could do. I couldn't move anymore. I couldn't bend my head like this. I couldn't turn my head to the side. I couldn't do anything. It was bad. I was so scared. I just sat down in my pajamas, and this was some minutes past 7 a.m. in the morning. My husband was like on his way to work, so he also came out from the room. He saw me in the living room with my mom, and he was like, oh, what's wrong with Stormy? And my mom was like, I don't even understand. Thank God my mom is a medical professional, but even with that, when it comes to family or your child, sometimes your nerves can be like rattled and you might not know what to do. So but thank God she was kind of like rattled, but she kind of took the moment the way it came. I sat down, I couldn't do anything. Then the most difficult symptom I felt was like there was like something very heavy on my chest. I couldn't, like, the tightness was bad. I was like, God, what is this? I was getting scared. I couldn't talk much, but I was like getting scared. I was like, God, just help me. What is going on? The tightness on my chest was like as if they put something very heavy on my chest, and at the same time on my back, as if something was traveling down from my spine all the way to my head. My head felt heavy, my chest was heavy. I couldn't explain it, and I was like that way for like 10 minutes. I was getting scared. My chest was getting heavier. It was like becoming difficult to breathe. It was really scary. Let me just cut the whole long story short. It was like a kind of like a cardiac arrest kind of thing. Like that was the kind of like symptom I felt, and it was really, really scary. So my mom just quickly called my husband to get the blood pressure apparatus, which we happened to have in the house. She checked my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was high. I remember it was about 165/102, and that was high. I don't know much about medical things, but I know this easy, simple things that one should know, and I knew that was high. I was getting scared at that point. She left it and decided to try again after like 2-3 minutes. She just told me to like calm down and relax. She checked this again. It was like 157/100. That was still pretty high. So at that point, she just called my help, like if there was a pharmacy nearby. It was still early in the morning, and there was no place that could be open by that time. She was just saying, is there aspirin in the house? Is there aspirin in the house? Luckily, in our first aid box, for some reason I don't take aspirin. Aspirin is one particular medication that I know one should not take anyhow, but I just happened to have it in my first aid box. And my mom was like, that was like, my mom works in the UK, by the way, so she's a nurse. So she was like, that's one of like the first aid, whatever. She mentioned the medical lingo for it, for like a cardiac arrest. I said, how old am I? Cardiac arrest, God forbid. I couldn't talk. I was hearing, I couldn't participate, I couldn't move my body. Everything was stiff. She gave me the aspirin. You know, when you're taking medication, let me grab a bottle of water to explain this. This is how I take mine anyway. There are different ways people take theirs. You take your water, you gulp like this, and you throw your medicine inside your mouth. That's how I take my water, or that's how I take my medication. I couldn't do that. The best I could do, and I don't like bitter medicine, the best I could do was to just, my head was bent, and I just kind of like slowly like took a bit of water, and I just like put the medicine right in my mouth like that. I couldn't bend my head. Nah, that could not happen. My mom gave me the aspirin, about 300 whatever, 300, well, everything is flying out of my head right now. She gave me the aspirin anyway. She gave me like paracetamol as well, and we just watched it, and we just kind of like wanted to see the symptoms of what was going to happen. And it was like an emergency, but unfortunately there was no ambulance we could call, there was nothing we could call and all that. Luckily, people were on standby in the house that could take me out. Thank God for that. So we just waited. We were waiting to see whether we could go to the nearest hospital, or my hospital, there's a hospital close to my house, but we didn't use that hospital. The hospital I actually birthed my baby was quite far. It's a little bit far from my house, at least like an hour. On the average, about an hour. It takes you about an hour to get to the hospital where I had my baby. And my mom was like, okay, if it's really like an emergency, we'll just go to a close by hospital. If not, we'll watch how it is. Thank God she's a medical practitioner. I trusted her, and we waited it out a bit. After about 40 minutes, I felt a little bit of relief. And I also want to mention that I could even lean my back. So there were many things we were watching. So the moment I could lean my back, we knew that there was some sort of relief. So she was like, okay, next thing, I didn't have my bath. I went to the hospital in my pajamas. We just grabbed everything we could grab. Thank God my baby was already She had had a bath. We just grabbed diapers, everything we could grab, because of course I had to take the baby with me. We couldn't leave her at home, and we're on the way to the hospital where I had my baby. So because I had felt some kind of relief, my mom felt okay, it was okay for me to go to that hospital, because going to a nearby hospital, you really, I don't know, but you really don't want to start explaining all over again or whatever, except you don't have a choice. But because she had done like the first aid, and the first aid worked, and that like maintained me on like a kind of pedestal, we felt you could go to the other hospital, and so we went. Thankfully there was really no traffic. We got there in about an hour, and we immediately just went through emergency. The car just went through emergency, and my mom was just shouting like, please, there's an emergency, there's an emergency. Thankfully those guys, like, they're awesome, like they are good. The name of the hospital, by the way, if anybody wants to know, is Everkey Hospital. Yeah, Everkey Hospital, they're really good. And I got into the emergency immediately. My mom just quickly explained everything. I could not even talk. I could not explain what I went through. All I knew was that my eyes were like moistened. I was just like crying inwardly, like, God, please just help me. I hope it's not a cardiac, because according to my mom and my husband, every symptom showed like a cardiac arrest kind of thing. My chest, the chest heaviness, chest pain is not something anybody should joke with. And I'm saying this as a clause also. God forbid you have all this, but if at any point you have chest pain, please, like my mom explained to me, it's a medical emergency. Get to the nearest hospital so that they can check it out. So when I mentioned chest pain, they checked my BP. It was still very high. I was in pain. I could not explain what I was going through. My husband asked me, are you having blurry visions? I said yes. Do you feel dizzy? I said yes. Are you having headaches? I said yes. And by the way, yes, I was having a lot of headaches. I was having headaches up to that point, but I felt it was like as a result or the side effect of the anesthesia. So I was just taking my normal pain medication, and that was it. So all those things were kind of like ticking the box of like having a cardiac arrest. Goodness, guys. We got to the emergency, and my mom told me that they were going to do an ECG for me. She explained everything to the nurses and the doctors, and they were very swift. So immediately they carried out an ECG. I think an ECG where they put all this like wires and things on your body, your head, your chest. I stripped, they put everything on my body. The monitor, it was plugged to the monitor, and they were very fast. Like, it was really very fast. I give them kudos. My heart was beating. I was like, God, we did not find anything that will be bad or something, like, do you get? Because once they, I think the first thing they know, or they use in testing for like chest, cardiac arrest or whatever, is when they do that ECG. That just gives you the result immediately. They did that, and in like 10 minutes the doctor came back to tell me that, oh, congratulations madam, you show no signs of cardiac arrest. But it was bad. Like, it was bad. I was like, okay, so what happened? I couldn't even, to be honest, I didn't even say what happened. The first thing was just relief, like, God, thank you. Like, I didn't even know, because everybody was scared. My mom too was scared, but she was just trying to manage as much as she could, because what can she do? So as I said, it was fine, but they're now trying to find other reasons why I was having those symptoms and everything surrounding the chest and all that. And they checked my BP again. They said probably the reason why the BP was high is because of the pain. My threshold for pain, please don't even ask me, but anytime I am in pain, I know my BP goes very high. So one thing they do for me is to manage the pain so that the BP can go low. One thing they did was that my mom was even like saying it was very nice they didn't give me blood pressure medicine, because sometimes there are side effects to it. So the one thing they treat is that they just treat the symptoms. So they're treating me for pain, and yeah, once the pain was like dealt with, the blood pressure goes down. It doesn't happen immediately, but gradually it does happen. So I was sedated. I was heavily sedated because I was in pain. I couldn't explain what was happening in my body. It was like an out of the body experience. I was like sedated. They had to sedate me, and they told my mom that just take the baby somewhere, take care of the baby. We're not even sure if we're going to go back that day, but God so good. They did more blood work, they did more tests and everything came fine. So the conclusion was like a reaction to the anesthesia I was given in the hospital, and because it's not really like something for anybody to be scared of. So please, if you're having any surgery, don't be scared of the anesthesia. It's just that sometimes you might have some underlying sicknesses or illnesses that might cause some issues. Of course, everything was mentioned along the way, but people try to manage it as much as possible. So one underlying illness they found which could have affected, which seemed harmless, is GERD. I've been diagnosed with this about a year ago. Acid reflux, when food travels back to your stomach. Food is supposed to remain in your stomach, but in this case, anytime anybody has GERD, food and acid travels back. You have like regurgitation, food comes back, there's a lot of gas and all that. So it seemed there was gas. I don't even understand the medical terms. Gas and everything were interplaying with each other with the anesthesia, whatever, and all that. So it kind of caused that. So it was just those two, the anesthesia, a side effect of the anesthesia, due to the fact that I had an underlying illness which should have been taken care of. So they said in very bad cases you have heartburn and chest heaviness that would mimic like a cardiac arrest for people that have acid reflux or GERD. Guys, I don't even know how to explain it, but it was bad. So the next thing was to treat the GERD as much as possible so that I don't have like a recurring symptom like that again. So that was it. So I was sedated for the pain. So they treated all those other side effects, all those other symptoms rather, the pain, the anesthesia block, the spinal block. They checked, okay, maybe the anesthesia kind of like had a way it was affecting me, blah blah blah. They asked me if I raised my head during surgery, and I said no. I tried to put my head still because I was informed about this even before I went in for my surgery. So that was what took me to the emergency room just barely 6 days after I had my baby. But thankfully by 5 p.m. that day I was discharged. I was ready to go home. They checked everything all over again. I seemed well, I seemed fine, and they told me I could go home. By that time, honestly, I had gotten a lot of relief. By the time I woke up, like I said, I was sedated. By the time I woke up, it was like a totally different thing. I was like a totally different person. I was still a bit scared, but I knew there was a lot of relief. Everybody was calling to check on me. My husband, my mom, everybody was so worried. But at least the immediate thing was that it was not, though it was the reason, it was something to be treated, but it was not as bad as anybody thought. Thank God. Like, I am so grateful to God, because what I experienced, and it's not something I wish anybody to experience. Like I said, I believe in medical knowledge. So if you have any of these symptoms, God forbid, I'm not praying for anybody to have it, but when you feel any of these symptoms, these are things that you should immediately address. Don't keep it to yourself. Talk to your doctor, talk to anybody. So that was how I went to the emergency room after I had my cesarean section, and it came out thankfully with nothing but treating the minor illnesses or minor things. Sorry guys that I took so much of your time. I just wanted to explain it as much as I could to anybody that will be interested. Please watch my other pregnancy baby content videos. I'm sure you'll learn one thing or two. I'll come back. I hope to see you often, again and again. See this face. I hope to see you again and again. Stay beautiful, stay healthy, stay cool. I'll see you in other videos. Bye.